Hello Vault Heads, this is the self-proclaimed, sarcastically named Captain KeyForge, also known as PJ Broughton of the Steel City Snufflegators. Welcome to the latest episode of Captain's Commpod. Thank you for coming back to me, I appreciate it. Welcome. On this Commpod, I'm going to talk about my suggestions for new KeyForge gameplay ideas. So we're going to talk about potential keywords, potential tokens, and things like that. So we'll start off. First of all, we're going to look at new potential keywords that I've thought of and what I'd like them to do, how I'd like them to play. So obviously, we have existing keywords in the game, don't we? We have reap. Obviously, that's the one that gains us amber. On top of that, you'll find some creatures have the keyword action. So like action, steal an amber, or this creature gives its neighbours action, whatever. Also as well, there are fight ones, fight, destroy an artifact like on Rust Noah. So yeah, we understand we have our keywords. So of the keywords, the first one, and I've had this one for a while, is defend. I'm trying to word it as I think it would go in the rules. So defend. When a creature is fought by an opponent and survives, trigger after defend abilities. So if you are on the receiving end of a fight, this ability will trigger. I really like it. I mean, I'd like to pair it with some things possibly. It would be interesting on really strong high power creatures if the ability wasn't mental, especially as well if it had a passive ability that wasn't great, or imagine something was really high powered and at the end of the turn captured, but maybe after defend it did no damage when fighting, and then after it defends it deals damage worth the amber on it. There's a lot you could do with it. I'd be worried about pairing it with elusive, because it's like, would it make it too powerful? But even some low power creatures with elusive, if you gave it something nice, at least you get something out of them. So then I've got another one, which is intimidate. When a creature is used to fight, a creature with this ability cannot be chosen to be fought. It's because the fight rules in the rule book specifically say that the creature that's being the receiving end of it is being fought. So you'll see fought. I really like that one. That would be great with some passive abilities, not really mental ones, but I mean something like Zenzik with when it's in the middle of your battle line, draw 2. You could put it on something like that, because as an opponent, I look at that going, oh great, it's got a great little passive ability and I can't fight into it. I can fight into the stuff around it though and take it out of the middle of the battle line. I can destroy the stuff around it and take it out of the middle of the battle line. I can still destroy it itself with direct damage. So yeah, I kind of like that one. Maybe with maybe on larger creatures, because I'm not entirely sure why tiny little ones would intimidate. But I like the idea of creatures that just you can't fight into them at all in any way, shape or form. It's not something we have. Then I've got another one, which is check. When a player declares check at the end of their turn, this ability triggers. This one I like. I mean, it'd be great for amber control. Every time your opponent declares check, steal one or capture one. I mean, if they've declared check with 7, 8, 9, 10, multiple amber above it, that still doesn't matter. But also it could, I mean, Equidon, this would scream when your opponent declares check, gain 1 amber. You're getting something for them getting something, because that's how Equidon always seem to want to work. They always seem to want to trade in with your opponent and getting the benefit of the trade. So I like that. That could be a good example. But yeah, I mean, Dis, when your opponent declares check, destroy a creature. Shadows, when your opponent declares check, steal a creature. You know, Mars, when your opponent declares check, one of their creatures captures 1 from them. You could do a whole lot with this, make it faction specific. So that would be one I'd like to see. Then I've got another one, which is knockoff. This, to me, would be made for Brobnar. After the fight resolves, if the creature that is being used dealt more damage than required to destroy the other creature, the owner of the destroyed creature loses Ember equal to the difference. So if my creature's power 5, your creature's power 3, and I use this to destroy your power 3 creature in a fight, you lose 2 Amber if you're able to. That would be great on Brobnar. This, on Brobnar Worlds Collide creatures, could have been the difference between them being mediocre and good. This ability, it's such a Brobnar ability. Brobnar have always been a bit, their Amber control is your opponent loses Amber, although so of this. This would give Brobnar a bit more identity if their Amber control was about fighting to remove Amber rather than just like Buntsy. I mean, Grok does it as well, fight your opponent loses one, but you don't have to win, you could fight into something elusive. So yeah, I really like that one. And then lastly, Forge. Now, I mean, arguably this is in the game already, to be fair. There are cards in the game that trigger when someone forges a key, but we haven't got it as a keyword. So I think putting it into the game rules as a keyword possibly would just tidy it up a little bit. Forge. When a player forges a key, these abilities trigger. So, you know, we have them. Forge Compiler is a good example of one. We do have these ability. We have that ability in the game already, but I just think a keyword would tidy it up. So yeah, next is card numbers. I thought it was an interesting space, and we do kind of use it already, although I must admit, personally, I wouldn't want a lot going off in this area because it would slow the game down, and trying to count a load of stuff does get messy. But the example that we've got in the game already is the Grim Reaper. Now that card says Reap, purge an enemy creature and a friendly creature. But it also says, if you are haunted, the Grim Reaper enters play ready. And then it says in brackets, you are haunted if there are 10 or more cards in your discard pile. So this is clearly something that FFG thought about for future sets. So I've had to think about it too. The first one I've got is Learned. You are learned if there are 5 or more cards in your archive pile. Okay. I mean, I was saying earlier that I thought knockoff would massively suit Brobnar. Hello Logos. Possibly even Saurian, because Saurian do have a lot of cards that seem to be, you know, educated or smart creatures, but they don't quite have the archiving that Logos does. But yeah, if you're learned, draw a card. Action if you learn draw a card, or Reap if you learn draw a card. They could have one based around sort of the chess boxing that exists. Fight if you learn to draw a card, and some sort of art based on that. Again, there's a bit of stuff you could do with it if you learn it and to play ready, you know, just like the Grim Reaper. Like I say, I like the idea, but I would want to keep the numbers down so it was quite easy to tell, so that people don't have to keep counting through the cards every 2 minutes, because from a gameplay perspective, that bit would get annoying. That brings me on to the next one, which is Oblivious. You are oblivious if there are 5 or more cards purged from your deck. I think you would have to pair this with this, because I don't know how you could inflict this on yourself unless you were in this, and unless you had things like Infernus, Creeping Oblivion. I really do think you'd struggle to trigger it on yourself. But again, if you're oblivious, this card comes in ready. Oblivion Forge. Forge a key -1 for each card in your purge deck. That could be good for countering an Infernus meta. Yeah, purge my cards. Go ahead, purge them all. Then you're going to give me a free key. Ha ha. You know, think about ways we can use these cards to counter overused, very good OP cards from other sets. And my second favourite Worlds Collide deck does have double Infernus, so it's not like it wouldn't hurt me as well, because it would. But yeah, you know, we can think about ways we can impact really impactful cards from other sets using new ideas. So now we'll move on to tokens. Now, to be fair, there are a lot of tokens already in KeyForge. There really are. There's lots of stuff in the game, lots of cards that have got a one-off token attached to them. And I'm not talking about here having a one-off card that's a one-off token that you're never going to see again. I'm talking more along the lines of the stun token, which lots of cards stun a creature. I'm also talking about things like the ward token, which again, lots of cards ward a creature and prevent it from being damaged. Obviously, also the other major one that goes on to cards is Enrage. Rob now on lots of cards deal Enrage. So yeah, I'm trying to come up with tokens that can be prevalent, that don't just go on one card. So the first one I've got is Canonize. When a creature becomes canonized, place a canonized status counter on it. When a creature with a canonized counter on it is used, it must be used to reap if able. After a creature with a canonized counter on it is used to reap, remove all canonized counters from it. Flip side of Enrage. So when Enrage counter goes on, you can't reap, you must fight. This must be the other way around. You must reap, you can't fight. I like Canonize because I like the idea of becoming a saint means you can't fight anybody anymore. Although equally, that would work well with Sanctum. That'd be a great mechanic for Sanctum to have. Equally, you could call it Greed and stick it on Shadows, because we don't fight. We're too greedy and we're greedy for Amber. But I like the idea of cards that you can play a card, put a token on a creature, and it can't fight anymore. It's got to reap before it can fight. Takes out the game for one turn, not overpowered. I mean, that wouldn't be busted, but there's only one creature on the board that can kill your really important passive 2-power creature. There you are. Have a canonized token, you're not fighting anymore. So that'll bring me on to the next one, which is Hunger. When a creature becomes hungry, place a hunger status counter on it. While a creature is hungry, it cannot fight, reap, or use action or omni abilities. Anytime a hungry creature could normally be used, its controller can spend an amber and exhaust it to remove its hunger token. So a bit like Stunned, but a little bit more powerful in that not only do you have to use the creature, you have to spend an amber to remove it, which I also like. I mean, again, to be fair, don't do it then. Leave the creature in play. This is a good way of. I mean, I've used Enrage on things like Daughters before to at least stop you from reaping with them until I can kill them. I know you're going to get the benefit of it being down while it's there, but at least while I've enraged it, you can't use it, because if you do use it, you're going to have to fight me and you're going to kill it. This could be a good way of, action omni steal one. Well, you ain't stealing one with your pit demon anymore, because you're going to have to exhaust it and spend one of your own before you can even do that. So I like that one. Also as well, this is very similar, but for artifacts. So Wrecked. When an artifact becomes wrecked, place a wrecked status counter on it. While an artifact is wrecked, treat its text box as blank. So it's got no action abilities and it's got no passive abilities because it's blank. So Heart Your Forest, done. Memory Chip, done. Library of the Damned, done. It's nothing. It's just sat there doing nothing. Anytime a wrecked artifact could normally be used, its controller can spend an amber and exhaust it to remove its wrecked token. Artifact control without purging it and without destroying it. And as you've heard me say many times, oh my God, is there not enough artifact control in this game? So a token that specifically goes on artifacts and messes with artifacts would be a good addition. I don't think anybody would not like it. The only people who wouldn't like it are Heart of the Forest Quixelstone players, and that's all they play, and they only play it to try and annoy the life out of other people. So, and if that's your way of playing KeyForge, you're allowed to do it because those cards exist. But I'd love to mess back with you, I really would. I've got other ideas as well, because I haven't talked about ideas for reference cards, because obviously we have reference cards now with Tide and token creatures, and I also haven't talked about any ideas I had for new cards. So this could well end up being a two-parter. When I do the second part, I don't know. Might be the next one. Might decide to do it later. I did also play Soulforge, and I would kind of like to say what I liked about that in comparison to KeyForge and what I didn't like about that in comparison to KeyForge. So SoulForge, basically from a KeyForge perspective, because this is a KeyForge podcast and vlog, not SoulForge. But yes, I have got other ideas, but this one's getting a bit long, and my podcasts are always around about 15 minutes long because I appreciate that a lot of you probably haven't got 2 and 3 hours to spend listening to one guy talk about a game. So yeah, we're going to leave it at that for that one. As ever, comments, thoughts, what you think I'm wrong about, what you think I'm right about, what you like. If you like any of these ideas, really, really a great deal, tell Ghost Galaxy, hey, go and listen to Captain KeyForge's podcast. He's got some wonderful ideas. Anyway, whatever it is, you know where to find me, Twitter, Discord, email, blah, blah, blah. Thank you for staying with me to the end of another podcast, and may the Forge be with you.